Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome po for our midweek episode of What's Up, Doc. This is your Diet Doctora, Dr. Josephine Rojo. So, pag-uusapan po natin ngayon is one of the most controversial things, no? And the fears and apprehensions of most people. They are not into low carb, okay? So, this special episode is dedicated to all of our members ng Life Without Rice, also yung mga member ng LCFF, ng ating masterclass group. So we have Diabetes Masterclass and of course, our pioneering batch of LCF Masterclass. I hope you guys are watching. And hi also to everyone who are watching via Global TV Network and of course from our page and also from our YouTube channel. So if you have questions later, we will try to entertain that. But for now, we have, I think, 8 most common controversies, common fears. And as you all know, there are also other doctors and other nutritionists that are saying that they are against low carb. They are against keto. So we will talk one by one. Okay, so hello, FL. Hello, Mary Chris. Good evening to all of you. Thank you so much for watching. One by one, i-ano muna natin. Let's share this, our groups, para malaman nila that we are already live and online in our page. So, for those of you who are there, hello Anne. Hello po, Rosemary. Thank you so much. So, mga ano natin yan, mga classmates natin yan, both in LCFF and of course in our LCF masterclass rather. Okay? So, let's share this to our groups para malaman nila that we are live online so that everybody can be a part of our discussion tonight. Okay? So, we already shared this with our LCF masterclass and of course to our diabetes masterclass and of course our Life Without Rice. For those of you guys who are in Life Without Rice, you know, no? I think you are one of those people talaga who have been asked by so many na minsan pinagbabawalan kayo or minsan tinatakot kayo saying that this is not sustainable, that this way of life is somewhat dangerous and can threaten life, okay? So we will go through that one by one. So yung unang-unahin natin would be this question. Okay, so fears and controversies in low carb and keto. This is not sustainable daw. For those of you who are here, no, especially our coaches in our masterclass, you can answer your own, okay? We will try to tackle it one by one. I will also answer why they should not fear this because this is actually very sustainable. So try to answer also if you have, especially what you have learned in our masterclass. We have also Aurora Rosas. Hi, Doc. Long time. I'm glad you're able to join us live. Anong oras na po dyan, ma'am, in UK? And of course, Coach Dan Bunying. We have Marby from Makati. Mary Christina. Aurora, so happy without rice now. Yes. And if you can share po, without rice also, without, alam ko, medyo marami-rami tayong mga dinaramdam noon, medications and all that. Ano po yung nawala nung winala nyo si rice? Of course, when we are saying life without rice, we are not just looking into rice alone, but rice being a representative ng other high glycemic index carbohydrates. Okay? So, we allotted today na wala muna tayong guest. We can have another coach na guest coming Friday. But today, I think I want to tackle with you all of this kasi marami nang naglalabasan. And by the way, guys, there are so many, pages that are copying my Facebook profile and they label it as a different doctor and are selling so many things. Yung mga air purifier, yung mga kung ano-anong mga oils, or kung ano-anong mga devices, okay? So as a disclaimer, hindi po akin yan. I'm not selling anything, okay? proud member of LCFF and Life Without Rice. Thank you so much. Hello, Doc from Glenelia. Hello, Jessie. I'm glad you are watching from YouTube. And Carmen, Brian Aubrey. Hello, Doc. Yes, LC is sustainable. Done Iron Man with LC Nutrition. I think Doc Brian, no, si Doc Brian is also one of our future guests in our shows, and you will get to know him more. Kasi I think, Doc, you can help later with the other controversy kung baga. Okay, another helpful friend in our community sent me a message sending me a video of a certain nutritionist that are claiming that low carb daw and keto is not for elite athletes. Okay? Sabi niya, para lang daw ito sa other people, but it can slow down performance of elite athletes, okay? Yung mga nasa Olympics or nasa mga palarong pambansa and all those, okay? But we will tackle that later. And I think Doc Brian can really help us because Doc Brian is also a triathlete himself, an endurance athlete, and nakatapos siya ng Ironman. So, hello, Earl Lazo, one of our admins, very, very intelligent admin of our LCFF and Life Without Rice community. Good afternoon, everybody. So, sabi ni Mai, from 68 down to 58. So, that's 10 kilos. So, how is it not sustainable? So, for us, it is really very, very sustainable. Nasaan na yung blackboard ko? Hindi ko makita yung blackboard ko. Okay, mamaya, tingnan natin kung makukuha ko yan. Okay, so, it is not sustainable. We believe it is really sustainable. Kasi nga, it is based on evolution. Okay? And when we are basing it in evolution, ito talaga yung nakasanayan ng pangangatawan natin for all those times. Okay? So, if we have to make it a timeline, wait ha, kukunin ko muna ito. Okay. Nasa na yung ating, ano. So, if we are going to make a timeline of our history as humans dito sa mundo, okay? If yung yes, as the Earl, I'm glad you like our topic and I'm sure you can help, no? So, if we are to reduce ang ating existence sa mundo into 1 year, so although we can have as little as 2 million years sa ating evolution na nandito na tayo sa mundo as mga tao. Pero nakikita natin na sa loob ng 2 million years na palang iyon, hindi tayo sanay sa mga pagkain kinakain natin ngayon. Okay? So, although yun yung mga nakalakihan natin, yung nakalakihan ng ating family, ng ating mga lolo, lola, but yung genetics natin, how we evolved as humans, hindi yun talaga yung nakasanayan ng pangangatawan natin. Yung sinasabi nating pangangatawan is hindi lang yung memory natin, yung buhay natin ngayon, but yung DNA talaga natin as tao. Okay? So, ang idea is, hindi sustainable ang lifestyle na actually usong-uso ngayon. And what is that lifestyle? And that is a high carb lifestyle. Okay? So, as again, no, i-drawing natin yan. Kasi daw, if we are to reduce ang awing timeline, for example, ito, day 1, papunta dyan, okay? So, dito, for example, ano na tayo? 2021, okay? So, buong taon, nagsimula tayo maging tao, until this time, okay? Wala yan. Walang sugar. Okay? Walang sugar. Walang rice. Ano pa ba? Yung prutas, yung fruits, in season lang. Seasonal. Okay? So, eto yung mga major na mga pagkain. So, wala ring fructose na extracted na. Okay? Yung fructose po, ito po yung nagpapatamis sa inyong fraps. Okay? Ito po yung nagpapatamis sa inyong mga milk tea. Okay? And only around this time. So, imagine this gap. Okay? Para siyang, ito, it just happened, this one is 2 million years. Okay? 2 million years. This one is 10,000 years ago. Yung 10,000 years ago, dito pa lang nagkaroon ng agricultural revolution. Okay? So, dyan na tayo nagtanim. Okay? Dyan pa lang tayo nakatikim ng grains. Mga bigas, corn, wheat, and all those. Okay? And eto, sa panahon dito lang, this is now, dito lang na-imbento yung refined sugar. Okay? So, yung katawan natin, actually, hindi sanay sa mga pagkain ito. Okay? At kahit pa kumakain tayo ng root crops noon, okay? Pero, hindi sila all year round. At kapag yung root crops, although we can tolerate that, but if you pair it up with all these foods, doon na tayo nagkakaroon ng problema. So, if we are to reduce this to 1 year, example, i-reduce natin to into 1 year, no? Sa nakapanood ng video that I uploaded, yung clip from the documentary na Fathead. So, if i-compress daw natin yung pamumuhay ng tao sa mundo for 1 year, yesterday lang, kahapon pa lang, okay? Kahapon lang tayo nakatikim ng kanin, rice, and yung sugar naman, nakatikim pa lang tayo niyan 1 hour ago. Okay? So, 1 hour ago pa lang as compared to a year. So, kaya hindi sanay ang ating katawan. So, kung magsasabi sila na hindi sustainable ang low carb, okay? Ibig sabihin, they are just living in this time. But actually, what is really sustainable is how we lived before as low carb. Wala lang siyang label. We just have to label it right now as low carb. Kasi ngayon, yung prino-promote ng ating lahat, government and all those, is actually a very high carb diet. Okay? So, ganyan, no? So, lalagay ko dyan. Asa na yon? Okay? Para makikita nyo how it is really actually very sustainable. Kasi ito talaga yung nakasanayan natin. Okay? So, ang sinasabi na hindi sustainable kasi we have to clarify then between keto and low carb. Okay? Paano nagkakaiba yung keto and low carb? So, yung low carb is actually, siya yung parang general na description. Okay? So, low carb ay ang pagkain na mababa yung carbohydrates. So, ano ang low carb? Actually, iba-iba yung definitions. Kung mag-iisip ka according to low carb sa mga naglo-low carb na, it can be as little as 10% to 5% lang ng kinakain mo every day. Okay? Pero if you compare to SAD, SAD diet, okay? Standard American diet, okay? Kapag less than 45% ng iyong kinakain araw-araw, low carb na yun. Kasi yung standard is around 45 to 65%. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Yung energy mo in a day, yung kinakain mo, manggagaling 45 to 65% or kahit sabihin lang natin kalahati, coming from carbohydrates. So, ibig sabihin, for example, 2,000 kilocalories, I'm sure magagaling na yung mga masterclass graduates dito. For example, 2,000 calories ang kailangan mo sa isang araw. So, 1,000 dyan ay magagaling sa carbs. Okay? So, kapag carbs, alam natin, in kilocalories divided by 4, di ba? Divided by 4. So, divided by 4 is 250 grams. Carbs in grams, 250 grams. Yung 250 grams na yan, ang katumbas niyan is around 5 cups of rice a day. Hindi natin to, 5 cups of rice or equivalent. Okay? So, yung equivalent din yan, pwedeng tinapay, pwedeng patatas, pwedeng prutas. Yun yung tinatawag nating net carbs. Okay? So, anong mangyayari? So, with that 2,000, ang natitira na lang na another 1,000 calories is coming from fats and carbohydrates. So, say for example, kumain ka ng 3 manok. Okay? So, 3 manok, for example, mga around 50 yan. So, around 150 grams. So, 150 grams, magiging 750 kcal yan. Meron ka na lang natitirang 250 kcal coming from fats. At yung 250 kcal na yan na coming from fats, around 2 kutsarang oil o butter o taba ng baboy, nakakaunti lang, maliit. Kasi yung fats po ay very energy dense. So, it's 9 kcal per gram. Okay? As compared to protein dito na 150 grams natin is around 4 kcal per gram. Okay? So, yung sinasabi na hindi ito sustainable only if it is ganito. Bakit ito hindi sustainable, yung ganitong lifestyle? It's actually because ito yung hindi nakasanayan ng katawan natin. Because yung rice, yung majority ng ating carbohydrate source is actually hindi nakasanayan ng katawan natin. Because by nature, hindi pa tayo sanay niyan. We are more used to eating real foods. At kung kumain man tayo ng carbohydrates, okay, it's giving a signal to our body na harvest season. At sa mga agriculturist or mga nasa farming, kailan ba yung natural harvest season? 'Di ba once a year lang? So dapat once a year lang tayo nagbibigay ng signal na pagtaas ng sugar sa ating katawan. Sugar, whenever we talk sugar, it's equivalent to blood glucose, okay? So kung araw-araw ay pinapataas mo ang iyong blood glucose, you are giving a signal to your body that it is an all year round na harvest season. Okay? Kaya nagkakaroon ng maraming sakit. Bakit nagkakaroon ng maraming sakit? Ano ba yung mga sakit na alam ninyo na brought about by sabi natin lifestyle diseases? Okay? So we have the masterclass na diabetes, high blood, obesity, because those are the primary na mga nangyayari sa ating katawan kapag pinapanatili natin ito sa harvest season. Bakit? Kasi kapag sobrang taas ng sugar sa ating katawan, harvest season, automatic yan, kapag mataas, ay kino-convert niyo yung sugar into fats. Okay? Nagiging taba siya sa ating katawan. Or, stored protein. O, ginagawa niyang protina. Pero ano yung mga protein na ito? Kung nag-exercise ka, pwede siyang maging muscles. Okay? Pero kung hindi ka nag-exercise, these proteins can actually aggregate and become tumors. Okay? Yung iba, yung effect ng insulin dahil sa sugar sa kanila, pwede iba taba lang. Pwede sila magiging mataba talaga, like obese o overweight. Pero yung iba, hindi naman obese o overweight, pero mataas yung kanilang blood lipids, especially triglycerides or VLDL. Okay? Yung iba, hindi man mataas hindi man obese, hindi naman tumataba, hindi rin mataas yung lipid sa kanilang katawan, pero nagkakaroon sila ng stored proteins. It can be manifested as tumors or sometimes it can lead to inflammation and inflammatory markers. So ano yung inflammation or pamamaga sa katawan? This can manifest as pananakit, so pain. And then it can be in the form of allergy. Okay? Although maraming ibang rason, but those are common. Okay? So, if you are into high carb for so long, you will actually have this. And why is that na pinopromote natin ang low carb? Pinopromote natin ang low carb para mawala ito lahat. So, we go back to non-harvest season. Kasi, if we set our body into a non-harvest mode, we are actually allowing our body to utilize, nagagamitin ang mga eto. So, gagamitin natin yung stored proteins, gagamitin natin yung stored fats as energy. Pero hindi yan mangyayari kung ang insulin ay mataas. So, that's why we do low carb to mimic, para masunod, parang mamimik ulit yung non-harvest season para mawala yung insulin para magamit po yung protein at fats. Okay? So, between low carb and keto, yung keto po ay sobrang taas talaga ng fats. Actually, yung ibang nagkiketo, hindi rin ganon ka-knowledgeable what is really keto and what is really low carb. So, by percentage, sabi natin kanina, yung low carb in general is just sa general, is just 45% or less na carbs. Pero yung atin kasi fina-follow talaga as much as possible na low carb, regular low carb is around less than 10% of your body needs or 50 grams. 50 grams of net carbs per day. Okay? Net carbs per day. Whereas yung keto po is pwede siyang mas baba as 5% or 20 grams. So this one is just LC. This one is keto. So, nakikita nyo, mas mababa. 20 grams per day. So, sobrang baba talaga. That is just equivalent to less than half cup of rice for the whole day wala nang allowance yan para sa mga vegetables, na high fiber vegetables, which is what we promote. For those of you who are eating carbohydrates, of course, we promote to get your carbohydrate source in our high fiber and nutrient dense source of carbohydrates. Pero yung pinaka-importante sa keto, pinapataas nila yung fat content up to like 75% fats. Okay? So in low carb actually, kung kapag ganyan, that's already 80%. At wala ka ng proteins. Okay? So actually, what we promote on, you can benefit with keto on certain conditions. So say for example, may gusto kang tunawin na tumor, okay? Or meron kang gustong tunawin na calories, na visceral fat. So pwede kang makabenefit ng keto kasi yung keto, yun yung pinaka nagpapababa ng insulin. However, if you are eating this but too much in overall calories, kahit ganito yung proportion, pero yung overall na calories niya ay sobra-sobra sa kailangan mo in a day, you can still have some stall sa inyong progress. Okay? So, okay lang siya temporarily. Bakit? Kasi keto is like mimicking fasting. So, para siyang nagpa-fasting ka. Okay? Kasi pinapababa yan yung insulin at nagkakaroon ka ng ketosis, kaya keto ang tawag. So, ketosis is breaking down of fats. Yung fats po ang ginagawa mo ng energy at hindi na glucose. As compared to when you are into the standard high carb diet, yung inyong energy po ay manggagaling sa glucose. But when you are already in keto or low carb, you have more chances na yung energy mo is coming from fats. Okay? Kaya keto diet ang tawag. Okay? However, since this is a fast mimicking diet, hindi rin ito pwede forever. Kasi, pwede na mangayayat ka. Kasi kulang yung proteins mo, especially if you do exercises. Kaya, we are actually, for sustainability sake, we are actually promoting low carb. Okay? Sometimes, if you are, say for example, athletic, you can increase naman a little, maybe up to 20% of carbohydrates. But for healing, yung bago pa at yung ngayon pa lang nagsisimula na marami pang goals, gustong pumayat, gustong gumaling, at kung ano pa, we can do low carb na parang conservative low carb, which is 10% or 50 gram net carbs para madali tayong mag-heal. And what is good about this is we can actually increase our protein intake up to 40 to even 50% of our caloric needs. Okay? At yung fats naman, yung sinasabi ko parate, yung fats, okay lang siya. Hindi natin siya kailangang iwasan. It's just that we have to know kung ano yung healthy fats at kung ano yung hindi healthy fats. Sa simula, it might be a little tricky, pero as you go along, mas maiintindihan nyo and it will just become automatic. So one way to make this lifestyle sustainable is to have a support group, is to have a community that whenever you are in doubt or you are confused with some theories na nilagay natin dito, makakapagtanong kayo. So we have low carb feasting and fasting community, and also we have life without rice. Tapos sa Ethel, gustong gumaling yung endometriosis. So nakita mo yung natin kanina, endometriosis is still made up of too much proteins. Okay? That's tumor formation. It's a benign condition. Hindi siya cancerous naman. Hindi pa. Okay? Pero, sobra-sobra. It's indicating that you actually have insulin resistance. Okay? So, I hope we are clear. So, what is not sustainable if you are not doing it right? And what is really not sustainable is the high carb diet. Kaya nga maraming namamatay. Merong nagsasabi na nung unang panahon mas maaga silang namamatay. Like ngayon, we are lucky that our life expectancy is around 70 plus na. At noon, 20s, 30s, 40s, namamatay na yung mga hunter-gatherers, yung mga ninuno natin from 2 million years ago. Pero, yung cause of death nila noon is based on trauma, based on accidents, based on kung nagpapatayan ba sila or kung ano man. pero at saka infections, pero hindi because of lifestyle diseases. Walang high blood, walang diabetes, walang obese na mga panahon na yon. Okay? So, sabi si Marilyn, pwede po bang mawala yung lipoma, LC or keto? Yes, there is a way na mawala yan, pero hindi pwedeng unlimited yung kinakain mo. Or else, yung ketosis mo ay manggagaling sa iyong kinakain. So, there is this one important na aspect with low carb na minsan nakakaligtaan, especially for those na pumapayat na at paakala nila that's already everything that there is with low carb, no? So, yung pagsabi na eat unlimited when it comes to fats, hindi rin. Okay? So, LC, for those na nakabasa na ng libro ko that we promote, LCHF yan. Okay? Low carb, high fat. So, yan muna. Kailangan nyo munang i-memorize by heart. Low carb, high fat. Pero, based on our current data, kapag pala yung katawan mo ay naka-high fat na, which includes lipoma. Lipoma, lipid yan eh. Lipoma, lipid. Ang oma naman is benign tumor. So, it's just a lipid benign tumor. It's just a fat benign tumor. Okay? So, pwede siyang mawala. We actually have experience. I hope Father Alwen is watching. Hello po. Maybe you can say no if you, what can you say about this? So, kasi kapag parati kang kumakain ng too much fats, you will never have the opportunity na ma-burn ito unless you are eating fats but still with lower than your caloric needs in a day. Meaning, medyo kulang mo yung kinakain mo. Okay? Para mabigyan ng opportunity ang iyong katawan na magamit yung ibang excess na nasa katawan mo para ma-burn siya into fat. So, sabi dito, when your body is already high in fat, so what you just need to do is just do low carb. Okay? I hope that makes sense. Okay? So, you don't need to do it right then and there. Yun nga, sabi natin, we have to do fat adaptation first. Magpasanay muna tayo sa ating kinakain. Okay? Importante yan na masanay muna tayo, and then after 2 weeks or 4 weeks, kapag nasasanay na, you will actually feel full, madali na kayong mabusog, and that's actually the best time for you to focus on low carb, moderate to high proteins, but, okay, moderate to high proteins, but those are nutrient dense. Piliin yung pinakamasustansya. Okay? Nutrient dense. Okay, yung maraming vitamins and minerals. So, yung pinaka-nutrient dense, yung gusto actually natin is yung medyo hindi ganon kataas yung ang isang item ng pagkain. Okay lang, parang equal lang yung kanyang calories na kasama, pero mataas yung levels of vitamins at mataas din yung levels ng minerals. Okay? So, kasi kapag ganyan, that is what we call a low calorie or balanced calorie with nutrient dense, mataas sa vitamins and minerals. Okay? Kaya tayo kumakain ng say for example, ng mga green leafy vegetables and all that. Kung hindi naman kayo, kung gusto niyo mag-carnivore, meron namang paraan. You can do carnivore. But when you carnivore, yung pinakakailangan dyan is nose to tail. Okay? Nose to tail, meaning kakainin mo lahat. Internal organs, atay, puso, kidney, bituka, lungs, lahat ng parte ng animals, kailangan mong kainin. But if you cannot eat nose to tail sa carnivore, then you can add vegetables. So, when it comes to vegetables, piliin yung high fiber, low calorie, high in vitamins and minerals. Okay? So, sige, yan po. So, I hope that you understand that low carb is actually somewhat very sustainable, especially if alam nyo po yung ginagawa ninyo. So, we can go with our next controversy, hypokalemia. So, ano po yung hypokalemia? So, yun po ay ang sobrang pagbaba ng ating potassium sa katawan. marami actually mga side effects na sinasabi na kapag naglo-low carb, merong nagpapalpitate, no? Merong panghihina, nagka-cramps, pinupulikat. Actually, kulang na kulang sila sa potassium, okay? And your source of potassium is also important kasi yung kahit pa mataas yung potassium na isang pagkain, pero yung degree of absorption yan, kung gaano kadami yung na-absorb ng katawan natin galing from that food, hindi natin sigurado kung gaano karami. It's because, okay, hypokalemia or potassium, nasanay tayo na noon, yung potassium natin, imagine, if eto yung cells natin sa ating katawan, okay, tapos eto yung bloodstream natin, interstitial, okay? Yung potassium, ang kanyang symbol, K, potassium. Mostly, nasa loob yung potassium. Okay? At sa labas naman ay sodium o yung asin, Na. So, dapat balance. Kung ilan yung potassium sa loob, ganun din yung sodium sa labas. Meron silang equivalent. Okay? So, kapag kinukulang ka ng asin kasi hindi ka nag-aasin, hindi ka nagsusodium, yung gagawin ng katawan mo, ilalabas din niya yung potassium sa katawan mo para maging balanse. Pero yung mangyayari, manghihina ang iyong buong katawan. It's because tinatry niya i-balance. So that's why one of our primary electrolytes, kahit potassium, no, hypokalemia yung pinag-uusapan natin, lumalabas pa rin si potassium. Kasi na-preserve ni potassium para siyang kapag adequate yung potassium mo sa katawan, nalalock in yung balance din ng potassium mo sa katawan kapag balance din yung sodium mo sa katawan. Sodium is Na. Okay? Sodium, Na po yung chemical symbol niya. Tapos, yung potassium naman, it's K. Okay? However, yung isang importante din is that yung katawan actually natin, hindi masyadong sanay na nagpre-preserve ng potassium. Kasi, nung unang panahon, nasanay yung katawan natin that we take in potassium in abundance. Okay? Pangmaramihan. Kasi noon, yung potassium ay makukuha natin sa ating, say for example, sa ating mga tubig na nasa river lang, nasa batis lang, yung mga natural sources. Pero ngayon, yung ating tubig ay puro purified na. So, wala na talaga silang electrolyte. So, kailangan we have to double or at least we have to be very conscious na enough yung potassium natin in a day. Na yung potassium naman, 99 milligrams lang per tablet yung supplemental dose na available without prescription. Okay? So, you compare it with our RDA. RDA po is our recommended daily allowance is actually 3,500. Yung iba nga, nagsasabi pang 4,500 in a day. So, nakikita mo kung gaano kaliit. Okay? So, saan ka makakakuha ng natural potassium sa kinakain mo? Kasi medyo mahirap siyang i-achieve. So, bibigyan ko kayo ng tatlo ba? Or apat? Sige, bibigyan ko kayo ng apat na foods that are very rich in potassium na pwede nyong kainin. Okay? Para natural yung sources ninyo. So, first is avocado. Okay? Okay, so one whole avocado, yung medyo malaki, per half niyan, around 800. So, one whole avocado can give you, let's be conservative, 1,500. Okay? So, kapag ka, 2.5, actually, kaya mo na yung mga 3,500 milligrams. Di ba? Kaya nyo bang ubusin yan? Avocado, 2.5 avocado in a day. Kaya ba? Okay, another would be cream of tartar. Okay, yung cream of tartar, mabibili lang po yan sa grocery. So usually, yung kanyang lasa, para siyang may asim ng konti. Okay? Siya yung nilalagay sa pangpastabilize ng egg white kapag gumagawa ng Brazos de Mercedes o yung merang. Okay? Puro high carb yun, no? Pero meron ng low carb recipe ngayon, kaya lang hindi ko pa ma-perfect. So, cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon po niyan, halos 500 na. 400 plus actually. Pero halos 500 milligrams na. Okay? So, if you need, so times 7, no? Para makakuha ka ng 3,500 milligrams. But of course, hindi mo naman kailangan ubusin yan. So, 7 teaspoon, mga around 2.5 tablespoon of cream of tartar. At yung maganda, ginagawa ko actually to, lahat ng pagkain sa bahay para naming fino-fortify with potassium. For example, magluto kami ng itlog. Lagyan namin ng 1/4 teaspoon ng potassium, ng cream of tartar. Hindi mo naman malalasahan. Kahit ano. So, yung electrolyte drink, merong yung tubig na katabi namin, merong cream of tartar, kahit ano, kahit kape, kahit yung soup, nilalagyan namin ng cream of tartar para at least meron tayong potassium. Okay, what else? So, we also have, merong iba, I'm not sure, parang hindi ito available sa lahat ng lugar. These are available mostly in Western countries, America, yung ganan, yung no salt. Or meron din tayo, yung component nito is actually potassium chloride. Okay, potassium chloride. So, somewhat, ganun din, kaunting pinch lang, kaunting pinch. Halos pare-pareho sila ng cream of tartar. Mas ano siya, parang mas mataas yung proportion niya. Per teaspoon, I think, makakapag 1,000, makakapag 1,000 milligrams ka na. Okay? Pero hindi ito readily available. But what is so nice here in the Philippines is yung, kung sino yung nakafollow ng post natin doon, ano nga yung pinagkakaligtaan lang natin that we just underestimated is actually our tuba vinegar or coconut sap vinegar. Coconut sap vinegar. Okay? So, hindi yung coconut vinegar na galing sa tubig lang ng niyog ha. So, yung coconut sap talaga. Yung coconut sap po, nasa ano siya, nasa coconut blossom. So, for example, that's coconut. Okay? Diba? Ito yung mga bunga. Pero, meron siya actually blossom na dyan yun namumulaklak yung bunga. So, dyan mismo, kung saan na bumubunga, dyan nilalagay yung coconut sap vinegar. So, coconut sap vinegar, akalain mo yung purest form talaga ha, yung purest form na walang halo. Pwede kang makakuha ng around 150 milligram kada kutsara, kada tablespoon. Grabe no? Taas no? Taas ng potassium content. So, yun. So, for those people, di ba parating sinasabi na bawal yung sobrang dami ng asin na kinakain. So, generally, yung katawan natin can easily eliminate salt. Kaya niya namang i-eliminate. Pero, mas magsistrain. Pero yung katawan natin, hindi masyadong ganon ka-effective on holding on to potassium, especially with low carb. Okay? Hindi siya ganon because of lowered insulin. Kapag lower na yung insulin, yung kanyang pag-store ng tubig, ng glycogen, at lahat-lahat nawawala. Kaya yung potassium, bumababa din. Okay? So, actually, yung maraming side effect na na-experience ng mga pasyente is sobrang baba ng potassium. At hindi nila makukuha kahit 3 tablets na yung inainom nila ng 99 milligram. Kasi yun lang yung supplemental dose eh. So, 99, so that is just 297. Okay? So, sobrang liit pa din as you compared to the 3,500 milligram. Okay? So, hindi naman sa tinatakot ko kayo, but there is one patient of mine na nagpakonsulta kasi daw, nagtatry na siya mag-keto and it's actually effective para sa kanya. Pero natakot siyang bigla pero kasi merong hearsay, merong nagsabi na yung anak ng kakilala niya ay nag-keto tapos namatay. And when they went to the hospital, hypokalemia. Mababa masyado yung potassium. Okay? So, kaya, yun yung sinabi natin, better to do it right the first time. Okay? So, yung potassium po, yes, yung potassium kapag sobrang taas ay nakamamatay. Yun nga yung ginagamit sa lethal injection eh. Pero, eto rin ay sobrang importante na kapag kulang tayo sa potassium, ay pwede rin tayong mamatay. So, we have to strike the balance. You have to know kung ano yung mga kinakain nyo. So, that's why, for those na hindi masyadong memorize kung ano yung mga laman ng mga nutrients sa kanilang mga kinakain, you can actually download. Marami namang free application sa please sa App Store or sa Play Store, sa inyong Android, or kahit sa internet lang, i-check mo kung ano yung potassium content ng mga kinakain mo. At makikita mo doon that you are actually taking less. So, ideally, kukunin natin yung pangangailangan nating electrolytes, especially potassium, sa natural sources. But if hindi talaga, you can benefit from supplementation. And yung mga tao naman na meron na talagang history ng pagbaba ng potassium sa katawan, especially na merong kondisyon yung kanyang kidneys, so all the more, they can actually benefit from supplementing with high dose. Pero yung high dose potassium po, kailangan po yun mostly ng prescription. Hindi pwedeng bumili ka lang kasi madali siyang ma-overdose. Okay? So, importante, consult first if you have condition. Okay? So, our next controversy would be this. Elevated uric acid. Sino sa inyo ang nagkaroon ng elevated uric acid? Okay? Para malaman natin, I'm sure marami dito na before, maganda yung uric acid level nung nag-low carb. Bumaba nga yung creatinine, pero tumaas naman yung uric acid. Bakit ganon? It is because kapag naglo-low carb ka, bumababa yung insulin mo. At kapag bumababa yung insulin mo, yung uric acid mo ay hindi na makakapasok sa cells. Diba? Cells yan. No? Tapos, eto yung dugo mo. So, yung insulin, siya sana yung nagpapapasok ng mga uric acid para makapunta sa loob. Okay? Or kung para ma-recycle o ano man. Pero kapag wala ka ng insulin, so yung uric acid, pwede siyang mag-build up sa iyong katawan. Okay? Pero, it is just because of imbalance ng ating pagkain. Kasi, with the right enough potassium, especially potassium citrate, no? Yung uric acid na ito ay naturally may ihi lang natin. Pupunta lang siya sa ating bladder at may ihi lang natin siya. Okay? So, that's why importante pa din na i-balance with potassium citrate. So, yung iba nagsasabi na tumataas yung kanilang uric acid kasi halos karne yung kinakain nila. So, yes, mataas po yung uric acid with your protein intake, high protein intake. Pero kasi yung mga taong ganon kumain, minsan halos wala ring gulay. And the green leafy vegetables are one of your major sources of potassium. So, kailangan talaga na yung potassium mo ay adequate. Okay? So, importante that your potassium citrate, especially in your body, is adequate. So, again, yun yung mga natural sources natin, and we go for natural sources. But if, alam natin na may mga panahon talaga na mahirap mag-prepare, so that's why we can benefit from potassium supplements. So, say for example, dito sa office, meron lang akong katabing ganito. So, actually, halo-halo na yan dito. May potassium, may magnesium, may calcium. Alam ko na kung anong mga shape nila, na-memorize ko na. So, nandyan lang yan. So, walang brand. Kahit ano lang, kung ano lang makita nyo dyan, pinagkakatiwalaan yung brand, okay lang. Bumili kayo. Kung gusto nyo pinakamura, okay lang din. Okay? So, I hope we are clear with uric acid as long as, walang dinaramdam. So, uric acid elevation alone. Yung isang kinakatakot ng iba, kapag uric acid na mataas ay magkakaroon na ng kidney stone from urate crystals and gout. Okay? So, kapag meron na pong ganito, better magkonsulta muna para mabigyan kayo muna ng high dose na tawag natin yan na mga urinary alkalinizer, okay? Urinary alkalinizer, okay? Alkaline, okay ba? Uso-uso ngayon yung mga alkaline water, ek-ek. Pero yung urinary alkalinizer po, siya talaga ang makakapagpalabas ng uric acid sa ating katawan. And with low carb, you will be surprised na kapag wala pang ganito, kahit yung iba, sobrang taas ng uric acid, wala silang dinaramdam na sakit. Wala silang evidence of kidney stone. So, yun lang, yung sinatawag nating asymptomatic. Walang symptoms na pagtaas ng uric acid. But of course, if you want to be safe, you want to lower it down to normal level. So, that's why kailangan mo ng urinary alkalinizer. Okay? Pero actually, yung totoo, yung isa sa pinaka-primary urinary alkalinizer, potassium citrate lang din. Okay? Yun yung natural na na urinary alkalinizer. Okay? So, sige, let's move on. Naku, natatlo pa lang tayo. Ang slow naman natin. So, eto, elevated LDL. Tumataas yung LDL nung nagsimulang mag-keto. Okay? I think I've posted a lot of videos and post about this, no? Na hindi tayo kailangan matakot with just an isolated, meaning isa lang, yung LDL na tumataas. Okay? Number one, yung iba kasi natatakot kasi tumaas yung kanilang lipid profile. Okay? Lipid profile. So, yung lipid profile po, kasama nito ay total cholesterol. Okay? Total cholesterol. Pero, yung breakdown nito actually is triglycerides. Okay? Meron din tayong LDL. Merong HDL. Okay? Actually, yung triglycerides, hindi siya kasama sa total cholesterol. Iba talaga siya. Okay? So, ilagay natin dito, triglycerides. So, kung mataas yung total cholesterol mo, you have to check kung ano yung nagpapataas. Okay? If mataas yung total cholesterol mo dahil mataas yung LDL mo at mataas yung HDL mo, pero yung triglycerides mo ay mababa, okay? At yung sugar mo naman, FBS or HbA1c, ay mababa din. So actually, you don't need to worry. Pero kung mataas yung LDL mo at mababa yung HDL mo, mataas yung triglycerides mo, mataas din yung FBS mo, then you should really worry. Kasi yun na yung maraming risk factor. RF na yan, risk factor for CVD, cardiovascular disease. Okay? So, yun yung importante dyan. So, an isolated LDL, hindi kailangan mag-worry, pero kung may mga warning signs siyang kasama, low HDL, high triglycerides, high FBS, high HbA1c, and other, yung tawag nating inflammatory markers, like ESR and CRP, then, kapag mataas yan, okay, kailangan mo na rin mag-worry. Okay? Lalagay natin dyan para makita nyo. Okay? So, next. Okay na tayo sa LDL. Anong next natin to? 1, 2, 3, 4. May 4 pa tayo. Next would be Gerd, hyperacidity. Maraming nagtatanong, Doc, pwede ba akong mag-low carb? Pwede ba akong mag-keto na meron akong Gerd? Meron akong hyperacidity at ulcer. Okay? So, the first question there is, yung may nagbawal ba sa iyo? So, sabi kasi before even ako speaking for myself, before I learned about low carb and all this, isa actually yung fatty foods na parang pina-avoid natin sa ating patients. Bakit pinagbabawal yung fatty foods? It's because fatty foods will, tawag natin yan, delay gastric emptying. Okay? Gastric emptying. So, matagal siyang nawawala. So, for example, galing sa iyong baba, okay, papunta sa iyong esophagus, pupunta sa iyong stomach, okay, tapos papunta na sa intestines mo. Yung kapag merong fats, yung food, matagal siya nagsistay dito. So, kapag matagal siya nagsistay dyan, so, sige-sige yung pag-secrete niya ng acid, so, kapag humiga ka, pwede siyang umakyat. So, that's reflux. Okay? At kapag sobrang tagal niya dyan, mas grabe yung pag-secrete ng iyong gastric acid. So, kung meron ka ng ulcer in the first place, mas sumasakit. Pero, we have to understand na hindi talaga fatty foods yung rason kung bakit nagkakaroon ng ulcer in the first place. Okay? Paano natin mapapatunayan just by common sense na hindi yung fats yung nakakapagsira. Okay? It's because yung fats naman, hindi naman actually ganon ka nakakapag-produce ng acids, no? And if you think about it, pinagbawalan din natin yung mga taong may GERD before na huwag kumain ng mga maasim, huwag kumain ng mga suka o lemon and all that. At kung meron nakakita ng pinost ko kanina, no, yung mukasim about so since bata po ako, I think as early as grade 1, na humihingi na ako ng pahintulot sa aking mama na kung pwede ba akong uminom ng vinegar kasi gustong-gusto ko talaga yung mga asim. But never in my life na naka-experience ako ng Gerd or hyperacidity. It is because yung pH o yung acidity ng ating, like, ano ba yung pinakamaasim na maisip mo? Lemon, no? O kalamansi. Tapos vinegar. Actually, yung acidity niyan ay wala yan sa acidity ng ating gastric acid, yung acid mismo na ating katawan. Okay? Acid and stomach. Okay? Pero bakit na hindi kinakain ng acid ng stomach yung stomach lining? It is because yung stomach po natin, ganyan yung shape niya. Okay, ganyan yung shape niya. Pangit. So, ganyan yung shape niya. So, yung stomach actually natin, meron yung protective lining. Para siyang sipon or sinatawag nating mucus, okay? But by consistency, para siya ng sipon, yung mga slimy. So, yung barrier na yan, actually, yan yung nagpo-protect sa kanya. So that kahit marami ng acid na nilabas dito, hindi niya makakain yung lining ng iyong katawan. Pero kapag merong inflammation, eto na naman tayo sa inflammation, we understand na yung iba na confuse kapag merong inflammation. So inflammation po is basically pamamaga sa katawan. So it can manifest differently. So yung dito, the inflammation in your stomach can manifest as pamamaga at kapag namamaga na yan, yung protective lining ay nawawala. Okay? So kapag nawawala yung protective lining, meaning hindi na siya protektado sa kanyang sariling acid. So actually, ang gumagawa ng ulcer or nakakabutas. So for example, nabutas na. So actually, yung nakabutas niyan, hindi yung fats, hindi yung vinegar or lemon, but it's actually the stomach acid itself. Okay? It's the stomach acid that actually made this hole in the first place. Okay? Pero yung root cause niyan, hindi sila. But the root cause niyan is inflammation. Okay? So, ano yung nakakapagpa-inflame nga? So, number 1 would be sugar and fructose. Okay? So, sugar actually redundant. Kapag nagsasabi ka actually ng sugar, no, if you are referring to table sugar, it's actually a breakdown of glucose plus fructose. Alam ko naman hindi kayo newbies lahat, so alam ko kayang-kaya nyong itindihin to. So, glucose and fructose. But for the sake of simplicity, we are just using sugar para to identify yung nakakapagpataas ng insulin, nakakapagtaas ng inflammation sa katawan. So, we just use sugar. So, fructose, basically from high fructose corn syrup, number 1, soft drinks. Okay? Marami yan. Okay? And everything sweet, yung mga talaga matatamis, especially made of sugar. Okay, those are so inflammatory. And of course, yung mga umiinom ng mga pain relievers. So yung mga pain relievers, under sila sa class of drugs, pain relievers na tawag ay NSAIDs. Okay? NSAIDs or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Okay? So, small yan, small. Okay? NSAIDs. Kapag mahilig kayong uminom ng mga pain reliever at kung mga ganyan-ganyan, you really have to ask yourself, bakit mo kailangan ng pain reliever in the first place? Because definitely, your body is already inflamed. Meron na yung inflammatory reactions. Okay? Before you go searching for other reasons, try to look at what your foods, no? Try to look at what are you eating. Kasi most likely it's related to that. So actually, with low carb nutrition, you are eliminating inflammation. And when you are eliminating inflammation, you will rest your body. Kung kaya pa nga mag-fasting, yung iba natatakot mag-fasting, but actually, food is the primary trigger. Okay? Food is the primary trigger of acid secretion in the first place. So without food, there's no acid secretion. Mas madaling mag-heal yung katawan. Okay? I understand na yung iba, parang aatakihin na sila ng kanilang hyperacidity, yung kanilang ulcer, kumbaga kapag hindi sila nakakain, kasi pinapasanay nyo yung iyong katawan. Our body is so intelligent na kapag nasanay itong kumain ng alas 7, alas 12 ng lunchtime and around 5 p.m., every time na ganun yung oras, actually, Magsisikret na yan. Kahit wala ka pang kinakain, magsisikret na yan. Kasi it's already prepared. Nakakain ka na. So kapag alas 12 na, sasakit na naman kasi meron na. Pero your body is also intelligent na kapag nasanay siya, na wala ka ng kinakain, ay magsastop na rin siya ng secretions. Okay? Sige. So yan yung ating very, 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 very chaotic board, black-white board. Okay? So I hope that's clear with you. So primary food trigger, food is actually the primary trigger of acid secretion. So with low carb, you are eliminating the root cause of inflammation and our stomach can just heal, no? Our stomach can be happy. Madali siyang gumaling. But you need to give it a break. You need to give it a rest. Hala ka, wala na tayong time. Sige, bilisan natin to. Constipation in low carb. So, yung usual na complaint na with constipation should be quantified. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin ay quantified? Kailangan natin itong i-identify na mabuti. Kasi with low carb and keto, you are actually eating foods that are what we call as highly bioavailable. Okay? Highly bioavailable. So when it's highly bioavailable, so for example, nung naka-high carb ka, okay? Kumain ka for example ng rice, oatmeal, okay? Actually, konti lang dyan yung mga mapupunta talaga sa iyong system. Pupunta sa body mo. Because it's not highly bioavailable. Marami siyang fibers na hindi mo na-absorb. So, mangyayari, magiging poop sila. Okay? So, yung poop mo is malaki. Pero ngayon, when you are eating, for example, beef. So, beef is highly bioavailable. So, for example, eto, merong mga 40% na pumupunta sa katawan mo, 60% pumupunta sa poop mo. Yung beef actually, it can have as high as 80 to 90% pumupunta sa katawan mo. Kaya, yung iyong poop ay maliit na lang. Okay? So, this one, tawag natin dyan, stool hypertrophy. Pampataba lang ng poops. Hypertrophy. Whereas with highly bioavailable foods, kukunti yung poops mo talaga. And it's not a cause of worry. As long as wala kang bloating, okay? Walang bloating, walang discomfort, at kapag merong urge, dun ka na magpupo. Okay? Pero kung walang urge tapos pinupwersa mo kasi sanay ka na everyday kang nagbabawas, then of course that can lead to bleeding, that can lead to all that. So with constipation na feeling nyo na medyo mahirap talaga, na totoo siyang constipation, na dumudugo na, so you can look at 4 things ba yun? You can look at first, fiber. Okay? Other people, it's good for them. It improves their digestion. But if you are already eating fiber, na ganun pa din, so maybe you are sensitive to fiber. So you also try na walang fiber. Okay? The next one would be your water intake. Okay? Water intake. Make sure that you take water mostly around when you are active and when you are eating. So usually eating window din. Mas marami kang iniinom na water during yung eating window. Hindi pwede na hindi ka umiinom kasi feeling mo nagda-dry fast ka, akala mo maganda yon, but yung dry fast po is okay lang siya kapag clean fast, okay? Pero hindi pwedeng kumain ka ngayon at bigla ka magda-dry fast, okay? That's so bad. Dry fasting is really on fasting time. Hindi pwedeng kumain ka na at dyan ka pa mag-dry fast at mamaya kakain ka na naman ulit. With water intake, kailangan mo siyang ma-intake during the time, maybe before eating and around after eating, para make sure na you have adequate amount of water. Kasi pwede siyang mag-stagnate sa iyong large intestines, no? So, sa pinakamalaking intestines natin sa katawan, at doon yung sobra-sobra, yung water reabsorption. So, naninigas. Okay? Reabsorption. And of course, we still have electrolytes. So, magnesium and potassium. Okay? You have to check that. because that can aid also in your bowel movement. Kapag sobrang konti ng potassium mo sa katawan, yung stomach mo ay mahina, slow, very slow. Yung parang effect ng fat, slow gastric emptying, slow movement in general. So, consider fiber. If wala kang fiber, you can add. If meron ka ng fiber, constipated pa din, try to have none. Kasi depende yan sa tawag nating microbiome o yung internal natin na environment sa ating tiyan. Yung iba, merong mga good bacteria, may microbiome na are fitted to digest fiber to help with digestion. Yung iba naman can do well. Pwedeng mas maganda sa kanila na walang fiber. Okay? Maraming ganong cases din. So, yung sabi nito na one size does not fit all, it can be that on this specifics. Pero in general, low carb is also good. Okay? Water intake, and of course, your electrolytes, you have to make sure. So, overtime ng konti, we have last two, muscle loss and muscle weakness. So, yes, that can lead to that. Muscle loss or muscle weakness, yung iba nangangayayat na, sobrang payat na, at nangihina. So, yung panghihina would be mostly related to potassium and also could be partly magnesium, yung parang sabi nila nang lalanta o parang walang energy or parang nang lalanta yung kanilang extremities, yung wala talagang energy. So that would be related to electrolytes. But with your muscle loss, meaning you are not eating enough proteins. Okay, I think we've discussed proteins a while back, so you can just review that. But generally, yung isang 250 grams po, so this is 1/4 kilo, no? 1/4 kilo ng isda. Actually, yung protein depende sa isda. Pero yung 1/4 kilo niyan, hindi po yan 1/4 kilo na 250 grams protein. Hindi po. Kasi marami pa yung tubig, marami pang kung ano-anong secretions niyan. And actually, only around 50 to 70 grams of that is actually pure proteins. So that's why we have to increase our protein intake consciously. Okay? So depende sa kind of isda. Sometimes yung iba nga sobrang matubig na, especially yung iba fatty fish din, it can go down as low as 40 grams per 1/4 kilo. So kahit kumain ka ng 1 kilong isda, okay? Kumain ka ng 1 kilong isda, so actually that's just around 150 grams of proteins. Okay? Nakita mo yun. So, yung itlog, kada isang itlog, okay, yung egg white is yun yung proteins. 1 medium to large eggs, meron siyang 6 grams of proteins. Okay? So, on average, kung maintenance ka lang talaga, kung ano yung weight mo, kung ano yung timbang mo in kilograms, multiply that in grams, yun na yun yung protein mo. Protein need mo in a day. Kapag muscular ka na at wala ka nang ginagawa at all that. But if you want to gain more weight or if you are exercising, you can make your protein intake double. So for example, if you're 50 kilos, you can make your protein intake into 100 grams. From 50 grams going 100 grams. Okay? And lastly, blood pressure changes, headache, palpitations. This is still, no? Marami tayong mga patients, iba, na nag-low carb for 2 months, 3 months, sobrang ganda ng kanilang dinaramdam at bigla sila nag-shoot up yung kanilang blood pressure, and that is mostly related to electrolytes. So, magnesium, potassium. So, if meron kayong ganyan, I suggest magpakuha kayo ng laboratory para to make sure. Electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium. Kasama nyo na rin yung calcium. Okay? Kasi meron tayong balance. Usually parang 1:3. For every 1 intake of sodium, 3 intake of potassium. Okay? Sodium-potassium ratio around 1:3. Magnesium-calcium ratio, calcium to magnesium, also ganun din. Parang 2:1. Okay? For every 2 calcium, parang 1 magnesium. Okay? Okay? Yun dapat para maging balance. Okay? So, if you cannot take all of these foods coming from real food, then you can consider supplementation. And lastly, yung sabi ko kanina kay Doc Brian, no, meron nagsasabi na hindi daw, not for elite Low carb and keto, not for elite athletes, okay? Not for elite athletes. I think this is a very biased na judgment, okay? This is because yung nagkikito po ngayon is hindi pa ganun karami. Okay? So, kung sinasabi nila na ang elite athletes is para lang sa normal na tao, hindi para sa elite athletes, so they can look at triathletes like Dr. mismo, Dr. Tim Noakes, no? Para makita nila na isa siyang triathlon, nagmamarathon yan, Tim Noakes, na siya mismo noon ay gumawa ng libro, si Dr. Tim Noakes. Okay? Gumawa siya ng libro about running, the lore of running, na naka-high carb pa. But when he found out about low carb, he said na yung kanyang previous na book is hindi talaga sustainable. Now, he is still at the age of medyo may edad na si Doc, pero ngayon, naka-low carb na siya. Low carb, even high fat, because basic idea is when you are fueling in carbs or glucose, yung pinaka-maximum mo na stored energy during that time would just be, yan na naman si Onyx Girl. Alam niyang 7 o'clock na. Mamaya na. Okay. No. Sige. Kapag naka-high carb ka, yung glucose mo na allowance is maximum only around 2,000 kcal. Okay? Galing sa iyong liver. But when you are actually fueling on ketones, if you are into low carb, high fats, your stored energy will actually depend on the fats that you have in your body. And that fats in your body is on average around 165,000 kilocalories. This is an average person na hindi pa yan overweight. So, you compare that to that. So, of course, masasabi nila na hindi ito effective for elite runners because, or elite athletes, kasi hindi naman talaga nila nasubukan to be well fat adapted. Unless you are fat adapted. Kung meron man silang studies, it's not beyond 2 months, 3 months. Okay? Hindi nila nasusustain. So, they actually never reach the point of really being fat adapted. Yung tawag nating fat adapted. If they are still in ketosis, hindi pwede silang manghina. Kasi their body is producing ketones pero hindi pa tinatanggap ng kanilang cells. So, lumalabas sila sa kanilang ihi, sa kanilang amoy, sa kanilang paghinga as ketone breath, sa kanilang sweat, no, o yung pawis nila because they are not yet fat adapted. So it takes time to be fat adapted. Yan yung sinasabi nating metabolic flexibility. I know Doc Brian, no, can attest to this. Okay, metabolic flexibility. If you are not into this way of life for so long, 6 months to 12 months, you will never reach metabolic flexibility. Kailangan mong masanay talaga sa pangmatagalan. Fasting, low carb, cycles of all that, very minimal episode of intake of carbs, taking carbs only at the right time, at the right moment, you will never reach this. So, it is unfair for them to say na hindi siya for elite athletes just because by proportion. Ngayon pa lang po, nagsisimula na maintindihan ng tao kung gaano ka-importante for us to gaano ka-importante for us to really appreciate kung gaano kaganda yung magagawa ng low carb nutrition and being fat adapted yung nagagawa nito sa ating katawan. Okay? So, yun po. I think wala na tayong so let's see your comments. Thank you so much po. Medyo mahirap i-explain sa ibang tao yung about hyperacidity ulcer. Mas nakakalala daw yung coffee, lemon, or ACV. So, you can ask them to join Life Without Rice. Marami na po tayong members dyan na from having all of those, no, ngayon, for the first time in their lives, na-enjoy na nila again, yung coffee, yung ACV and all that. But of course, kung nagsisimula pa lang, nandun pa yung ulcer, so hindi muna kailangan because it's still irritated. Let it heal first, okay? And yes, medicines can help, pero hindi kaya ng medicine alone lang habang ikaw ay nagko-continue ng kumakain ng mga highly inflammatory foods. So, that's very, very important. Okay? So, thank you so much. I know si fat adapted na. And if you like this video, no, I hope you can join us with our LCF Masterclass. So it's a series of 21 days masterclass po. Ngayon, ongoing natin yung diabetes, okay? And starting July 3, July 4 pala, simultaneous po yung hypertension and obesity. So magkaibang class sila. You will become a member of each group. Okay? And if you will get the whole package, you will become a member of all those. So meron tayong cancer in addition to autoimmune disease, fatty liver, and many more. So these are 12 diseases. So ngayon, ongoing yung diabetes. And don't worry, kung hindi nyo kayang sumali ngayon panahon, this masterclass will be open as long as we can. So you can join there anytime. Just send a message. You can try to join the group so that our admins can message you how you can know the details. So maraming salamat po. I hope to see you in our Friday episode of What's Up Doc. Remember again to stay low carb always, guys, for you to be safe. Maraming salamat po. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
Like 99% of the people in the world, we are brainwashed that sugar is okay. Sugar can be eaten as part of the dietary guidelines. However, we should think twice. Hi, my name is Dr. Josephine Grace Rojo, also known as your Diet Doctora. I have written books mainly focusing on health and wellness. So this coming June, we are going to conduct an LCF masterclass, a low carb and fasting masterclass. But this time, it will be different because we will tackle 12 kinds of the most common lifestyle diseases na pwede po nating mai-improve using only natural remedies and of course, the knowledge on nutrition and incorporation of fasting. So ano po ang i-expect natin sa 21 days LCF masterclass? So each disease ay magkakaroon po ng kanyang sariling private group sa Facebook. At kapag naka-enroll na at natapos ang registration process ng isang participant, siya po ay magiging member ng isang exclusive group and at the same time, exclusive community na ito. For the next 21 days, magkakaroon ng available na 20 to 25 minutes of video na merong learning at meron din itong kasabay na habit-forming activities and exercises so that pagkatapos po sa 21 days ng bawat sakit ay hindi lang po magiging equipped sa knowledge yung participant when it comes to disease prevention, kung paano posibleng pigilan, kung paano ito pwedeng maiwasan, and lastly, kung paano ito pwedeng mai-avoid. So, our first disease is actually on diabetes. So, yung diabetes po ay yung pagtaas ng blood sugar ng abnormal na level sa tao at ito po ay nagkakaroon ng maraming komplikasyon tulad ng sakit sa kidneys, sakit sa puso, pagtaas ng cholesterol. Diabetes is basically destroying all organs of the human body. And with this 21-day masterclass, we aim to provide you with the knowledge, yung kaalaman, at of course, the practice and also the confidence na pwede pong simulan ang ating lifestyle change ng safe and natural for us to attain good health. And remember, our ultimate goal ay hindi lang po basta optimum health, but also longevity. Ang longevity po ay maa-attain na kahit sa katandaan o advanced age, we still have the energy. Meron pa rin tayong stamina at lakas tulad ng kabataan. So I hope to see you in our upcoming masterclass, and if you wish to know more, meron na pong details sa video na ito, and I hope that you will be a part of this community na hindi lang po matatapos in the coming 21 days, but it is going to be a long-term support group para po sa mga sakit na ito. See you!